Hello friends, welcome back. First of all, tell me where in the world you're watching my video from. I turned 63 on a Tuesday in February, the kind of Tuesday that barely announces itself. No balloons, no candles, no chorus of voices singing an off-key song. Just a gray Carolina morning pressing against the windows and the familiar weight of silence settling into the house before I even open my eyes. The coffee maker clicked on at exactly 6:30 a.m., just like it had every weekday for years. That sound had become my alarm clock after Susan died. 6 years now. Long enough that people stopped asking how I was holding up. Long enough that grief stopped being loud and became something quieter, heavier, like furniture you forget is there until you trip over it in the dark. I shuffled into the kitchen wearing my old Postal Service sweatshirt, the logo cracked and faded from decades of washes. Outside, the sky was a dull sheet of steel. Cold. Indifferent. I poured coffee and glanced at my phone on the counter. No missed calls. No messages. No reminders from apps that had long ago learned not to bother. Most people forget birthdays once you reach a certain age. After 60, it stops being a milestone and starts being a statistic. Another year older. Another year closer to something nobody wants to talk about. I told myself I didn't care. Told myself it was just another day. Still, the quiet felt heavier than usual. Around 9, I heard the low rumble of Earl's mail truck easing down the street. The sound carried through the house, followed by the solid thump of something landing on the porch. That got my attention. Nobody sends packages to men who live alone unless it's a mistake or a bill disguised as something else. I opened the door and found a box sitting neatly by my feet, my name printed clearly across the label. Mitchell James Caldwell. The return address stopped me cold. Nicole Caldwell. Charlotte, North Carolina. My daughter. I carried the box inside like it might vanish if I set it down too hard. Nicole and I weren't estranged. We talked. We saw each other on holidays. We exchanged polite updates and surface-level concern. But ever since Susan passed, something had shifted between us. Her mother had been the bridge, the translator, the one who knew when to soften my words and when to push Nicole closer instead of letting her pull away. Without Susan, we'd become careful with each other. Respectful. Distant. Like neighbors who shared history, but no longer shared space. I set the box on the kitchen table and stared at it for a long moment before opening it. There was bubble wrap inside, and nestled within it, a pair of wireless earbuds. White. Sleek. Modern. The kind of thing I'd never buy for myself, because I'd never see the point. There was a note tucked beneath them, written in Nicole's neat handwriting. Dad, thought these might make your days a little easier. No more tangled cords. Happy birthday. Love, Nicole. I sat down hard in the chair. She remembered. Out of everyone in the world, the one person I hadn't expected remembered. For a moment, the kitchen disappeared. I was standing in our old driveway, the asphalt warm beneath my shoes. Nicole was 7 years old, wobbling on her first bike without training wheels. Her knuckles were white on the handlebars, fear breaking through her voice. Daddy, I'm going to fall. I ran alongside her, one hand gripping the back of the seat, matching her speed. I've got you, sweetheart, I told her. I won't let you fall. She pedaled harder, faster, found her balance without realizing it. Somewhere along the way, I let go. She rode 10 feet, then 20, then more. When she finally looked back and saw me standing still, she laughed, pure, unfiltered joy. I did it, Daddy. I did it. She circled back and wrapped her arms around me, breathless and grinning. I trust you, she said. You won't let me fall. Susan stood on the porch watching us, healthy then, smiling in that way that made the whole world feel stable. The memory faded, and I was back in a quiet kitchen with cold coffee and a box on the table. But something warm stayed with me. I charged the earbuds that afternoon, watching the tiny LED blink green as if it were alive. That night, I set the charging case on my nightstand. Plastic and circuitry. Nothing special, and yet it felt like a bridge, a small, thoughtful connection from my daughter to me. I didn't know I'd just placed a listening device next to my bed. The next morning, I drove over to the distribution center like I often did on Wednesdays. Retirement hadn't broken the habit. I missed the rhythm of the place, the hum of machines, the smell of cardboard and diesel, the way time moved faster when your hands were busy. Howard and Gerald were halfway through their sandwiches when I walked into the break room. Check it out, I said, pulling the earbuds from my pocket. Nicole sent these for my birthday. Howard laughed. Look at you, all modern. What's next, a smartwatch? Don't push it, I said, smiling. Curtis Henley didn't smile. He set his coffee down slowly. Can I see those? Something in his voice made the room feel smaller. Curtis wasn't a man who spoke without reason. 15 years working alongside him had taught me that when Curtis asked a question, it mattered. I handed him the earbuds. He turned them over in his hands, movements careful, deliberate. Opened the charging case. Examined the interior. Then the color drained from his face. Not gradually, not subtly. 1 second he looked fine. The next, he looked like someone had pulled the floor out from under him. Curtis, I asked, you all right? He looked up at me, and I recognized that look. I'd seen it once before, years ago, when he told us about the roadside device in Kandahar that nearly wiped out his convoy. Same stillness, same focus, same fear held tightly behind discipline. Where did you get these? He asked. My daughter, I said, forcing a laugh. Birthday gift. What? You think they're going to explode? He didn't smile. These have been modified. The room went quiet. Howard stopped chewing. Gerald lowered his sandwich. Modified how? I asked, though part of me didn't want the answer. Curtis set the earbuds down on the table like they might bite. You remember what I did in the service, he said. Signal intelligence, surveillance, communications tech. He tapped the charging case. I know what altar hardware looks like. Someone's been inside these. My stomach dropped. You're saying? I'm saying these aren't just earbuds anymore. I felt defensiveness rise in my chest, sharp and immediate. Curtis, my daughter gave these to me. I'm not telling you anything about your daughter, he said gently. I'm telling you someone modified these for surveillance. Could be a defect. Could be intentional. Either way, you don't ignore this. Howard nodded slowly. If Curtis says something's wrong, something's wrong. I looked down at the earbuds. They looked exactly the same. Small, harmless, innocent. Curtis had never steered me wrong. Not once. All right, I said. I'll take them in. Today, he said. Don't wait. I drove to the police station telling myself he had to be mistaken, that I was letting old military instincts scare me into something ridiculous, that I was embarrassing myself over a birthday gift. Detective Romero didn't sugarcoat it. These aren't just earbuds, Mr. Caldwell, he said, voice steady, practiced. They're a surveillance system. I sat across from him in a small office cluttered with case files. The earbuds sat between us like evidence in a trial I didn't understand yet. Audio capture, location tracking, remote activation. Someone can listen to everything within range, the tech specialist said. They can track when you're home, when you're not. The room tilted. Everything I say. I asked. Everything, Romero confirmed quietly. I thought about the night before, talking to myself. The small private thoughts a man has when he believes he's alone. My daughter gave these to me, I said, my voice hollow. Romero didn't accuse, didn't deny. He leaned forward instead. Do not confront her, he said. Not yet. He explained the plan. Evidence. Observation. Let her move. Let her reveal intent. People don't do this out of curiosity, he told me. There's always a reason. That night, I sat alone in my kitchen, staring at the earbuds on the counter. The house made its normal sounds, refrigerator clicking, pipes settling, but nothing felt normal anymore. If my daughter wanted to listen, I decided I'd give her something to hear. I didn't know yet that this decision would save my life. The next morning, I put the earbuds in my ears, and I started talking. The earbuds slid into my ears too easily. That was the first thing that unsettled me. They didn't resist. They didn't feel foreign. They settled in like they belonged there, like they'd always been part of me. Comfortable, light, almost reassuring, which made the truth behind them feel even uglier. I stood alone in my kitchen on Thursday morning, the house still dim with early light. The coffee maker gurgled and hissed, the same tired rhythm it had kept for years. Everything looked normal. Everything sounded normal. Except I wasn't alone anymore. I started talking the way lonely people do when they think no one is listening. Half sentences, stray thoughts, words meant to disappear into air. Market's good right now, I said, staring into my mug. Probably time to sell that rental Susan left me. The words tasted strange in my mouth. Not because they were lies, the duplex was real, but because I was choosing them, selecting them, performing. I moved around the kitchen slowly, deliberately, letting silence stretch just long enough between thoughts to feel natural. Should probably update my will, too, I added. Estate planning. Guess that's what happens when you get to this age. I paused, listening to my own breath, to the faint hum of the refrigerator, to the weight of the earbuds pressing gently into my ears like they were waiting. I read the paper, fixed the loose hinge on the bathroom cabinet. Normal, forgettable actions. But the entire time, I felt exposed, like my skin had been peeled back and my thoughts were standing naked in the room. Around noon, my phone buzzed. Nicole. Hey, Dad. Random thought. Are you thinking about selling the rental? We should probably talk about estate planning, too. The room went cold. I stared at the screen, my heart pounding loud enough that I wondered if the earbuds could hear that, too. The timing was impossible. Too precise. Too fast. The exact words I'd spoken echoed back to me 3 hours later through a text message. I typed slowly. Maybe. Still thinking about it. 3 dots appeared immediately. I could help if you want. These things can get complicated. Love you. I set the phone down carefully, like it might explode. This wasn't coincidence. This wasn't concern. This was confirmation. The doorbell rang that evening, just as the sun dipped low enough to smear orange across the windows. I opened the door to find Nicole standing on my porch holding 2 paper bags that smelled like barbecue. She smiled easily, comfortably, like this was a spontaneous act of love and not a calculated move. I was in the neighborhood, she said. Thought I'd bring dinner. She hadn't shown up unannounced in over a year. We ate at the kitchen table, where Susan and I had eaten hundreds of dinners before. Nicole asked about my day, about my sleep, about the guys at the post office. Each question was casual on the surface, but I felt the hooks beneath them. How are you feeling lately? She asked, cutting her pulled pork carefully. Last week on the phone, you sounded tired. I'm fine, I said. At your age, Dad, it's smart to think ahead. Health. Finances. She smiled softly. It's what Mom would have wanted. There it was. The memory. The leverage. The gentle framing of me as someone who needed managing. Tuesday, she added lightly. You forgot to call me back. I hadn't forgotten anything. I never promised to call. But she said like a fact. Like evidence. I saw it then, clear and sharp. She wasn't just listening. She was building a case. Every invented lapse. Every planted doubt. Every gentle suggestion that my memory was slipping. She was assembling a version of me that didn't exist yet, but soon could, on paper. Yeah, I said quietly. Guess I've been a little foggy lately. Her smile widened, just a fraction. It's okay, Dad, she said. That's what I'm here for. After she left, I checked the locks. Once. Then again. I knew they were locked. I knew I'd locked them. And still I checked. The realization hit me harder than fear. I was locking my doors against my own daughter. Over the next 2 days, I fed her exactly what she wanted. I spoke into my empty kitchen like a man unraveling. I forgot to pay the electric bill, I said on Friday morning. A lie. 3 hours later, Nicole texted asking if I wanted help setting up automatic payments. I felt dizzy getting out of the car. I said Saturday morning. Another lie. She called by noon, concern thick in her voice, asking if I'd scheduled a doctor's appointment. Each time, the response came too fast, too accurate. She wasn't reacting. She was monitoring. By Saturday afternoon, the weight of it pressed so hard on my chest, I fell short of breath. I needed something solid, something real, something not manipulated. The furnace chose that moment to start grinding. A real problem, for once. I grabbed a flashlight and headed to the basement. The air down there was cold and damp, smelled of concrete and old cardboard. The furnace crouched in the corner like a tired animal. It didn't take long to see the issue. Minor, fixable, but I needed the warning information. The filing cabinet sat against the wall, dented in gray. I hadn't opened it in months. The drawer stuck before sliding free with a rusty shriek. Insurance papers. Old tax returns. Manuals for appliances I didn't even own anymore. Then I saw it. A folder that didn't belong. Too clean. Too new. I pulled it out. The tab was blank. When I opened it, the basement felt colder. Guardianship petition templates. Professional headers. Legal language. Clean formatting. Petition to declare Mitchell James Caldwell incapacitated and in need of a guardian. My name. Notes in the margins. Neat handwriting. Nicole's. Dad forgets appointments. Document dates. Confused about finances. Witness doctor. Gets dizzy. Power of attorney drafts. Capacity evaluation forms. A checklist for how to legally declare your father incompetent. I sat down hard on the basement steps. The papers slipped from my hands and scattered across the concrete like fallen leaves. I couldn't breathe. And then I wasn't in the basement anymore. I was back in the driveway on a Sunday morning. Nicole was 8, gripping the handlebars of her bike, fear trembling in her voice. "Daddy, I'm going to fall." "I've got you," I told her. "I won't let you fall." She pedaled. I ran. I let go. "I trust you," she said later, arms around my neck. "You'll always catch me." Susan stood on the porch in her yellow dress, holding the camera, smiling. I came back to the basement with a jolt. The furnace hummed. The house creaked. I was alone with a folder designed to erase me while I was still alive. This wasn't about money anymore. This was about control, about taking my voice, my autonomy, my identity. I gathered the papers with shaking hands and climbed the stairs slowly, carrying my daughter's plan to make me disappear. And somewhere deep inside, something hardened. The house felt different once I came up from the basement. Same walls, same furniture, same photographs lining the hallway. But the air had shifted, heavy with knowledge I couldn't put back where I found it. The kind of knowledge that stains everything it touches. I placed the folder on the kitchen table and stood there for a long time, staring down at my own name printed neatly on legal forms designed to strip me of it. Mitchell James Caldwell. Incapacitated. The word echoed in my head like an insult spoken behind my back. This wasn't theft. Not the kind people imagine when they hear the word. This wasn't someone breaking in and stealing silverware or jewelry. This was something quieter, cleaner. Someone preparing to take my life without ever touching me. To decide where I lived, how my money was spent, whether I could drive, whether I could sign my own name. Identity theft in its purest form. I gathered the pages carefully, slid them back into the folder, and tucked it under my arm. Every step I took felt deliberate now, measured. I wasn't reacting anymore. I was paying attention. Sunday morning, I drove to First Union Bank like I had dozens of times before. Same parking lot, same glass doors. 30 years of habit carried me inside. I told myself I was just running an errand, but the truth sat heavy in my chest. Jordan, the loan officer, greeted me with his usual easy smile. He was young enough to be my grandson, always asked about retirement like it was a hobby. "I wanted to review my accounts," I said. "Maybe talk about interest rates." He pulled up my file, fingers moving across the keyboard. "Oh, hey, Mr. Caldwell," he said casually. "Someone called last month asking about your home equity line eligibility." My stomach tightened. "Somewhat." "A woman," he said she was helping her father manage things. I felt my coffee go cold in my hand. I didn't authorize anyone to call about my accounts. Jordan's smile faded. He shifted in his chair. "She mentioned you were considering granting her authority," he said carefully. "Financial planning. Long-term stuff." "I never said that." He nodded quickly. "I can flag the account. Make sure no information goes out without your direct approval." "Do that," I said. I walked out of the bank with my chest tight and my thoughts racing. She wasn't waiting for permission. She was already moving. Monday morning, I called my insurance company to update my mailing address. Routine. Something I meant to do for years after Susan passed, and never quite got around to. The agent was cheerful, professional. "Of course, Mr. Caldwell. Let me pull up your policy." I poured coffee while she typed. "Oh," she said, "and we already have that beneficiary change from a few months back on file, so you're all set there." My hand froze mid-pour. "What change?" "The update from 4 months ago," she said. "You changed the beneficiary from your estate to your daughter, Nicole Caldwell." The room tilted. "I never signed anything," I said. There was a long silence on the line. "Sir," she said carefully, "we have a notarized document with your signature." "It's forged," I said. The word came out flat, emotionless. "I'm reporting this as fraud." She hesitated. "The policy is valued at $250,000. I set the coffee pot down before I dropped it. By 2 that afternoon, I was back in Detective Romero's office. I slid the guardianship folder across his desk, then placed the printed insurance information beside it. Romero read slowly. His jaw tightened with every page. $250,000, he said quietly. "That's motive." "She forged my signature," I said. "Got it notarized." "We'll subpoena the documents," he said. "Find out who witnessed it." Then he turned his monitor toward me. A photo filled the screen. A man in his 30s. Dark hair. Easy confidence. The kind of smile that didn't reach the eyes. Derek Nash, Romero said. Age 34. He clicked through records. Arrest in Raleigh. Financial exploitation of an elderly victim. Previous girlfriend's grandfather. My stomach dropped. Charges were dropped after the victim passed away. Romero continued. Family settled. Didn't want to pursue it. He looked at me steadily. This is your daughter's boyfriend. The room went quiet. You think he's helping Nicole? I asked. Romero leaned back. Or Nicole's helping him. Either way, they're both coming for everything you have. I heard Derek's voice for the first time exactly 1 week after my birthday. I was sitting in my living room, the television murmuring in the background, earbuds in place, pretending to watch the news. Through the earbuds, I heard a phone ring. Not mine. Nicole's. A man's voice came through, sharp and impatient. Did he sign yet? Nicole sounded strained. Not yet. He's being careful. My breath stopped. We're running out of time, Derek said. My creditors aren't waiting. The gambling debts, Nicole. They don't care about your feelings. I'm trying, she said. I got in the earbuds. I planted the estate planning idea. Try harder, he snapped. You still owe me $30,000. I heard her start to cry. He's my father, she said. I hate doing this. You should have thought about that before you came to me for money, Derek said coldly. He's old. Alone. What's he going to do with it? What if he finds out? He laughed. Old people don't understand technology. That's why this works. Push the guardianship angle. Once you get conservatorship, we take everything. House, pension, insurance. Clear your debts. Split the rest. There was a pause. Yes, she whispered. Thursday, he said. Get him to the bank. Get him to sign something. Anything. The call ended. I pulled the earbuds out slowly. She was being manipulated. Threatened. Drowning in debt. But she was still doing it. I called Romero. I have everything, I said. Audio. Full conspiracy. Don't do anything, he said. Let's set it up. After I hung up, I opened my messages and typed carefully. Nicole, I've been thinking. Let's meet at the bank Thursday and get everything sorted. I could use some help. The reply came instantly. Really? That's wonderful, Dad. I love you. 2 exclamation points. A heart. I stared at the screen. The trap was set. The conference room at First Union Bank was designed to be forgettable. Beige walls. A long table scarred by years of nervous hands and sliding paperwork. The faint smell of coffee and carpet cleaner hung in the air, sterile and impersonal. A room meant to dissolve from memory the moment you walked out of it. I would remember it for the rest of my life. Detective Romero was already there when I arrived, seated beside Rebecca Turner, the bank's fraud investigator. Neat stacks of documents were arranged in front of them with quiet precision. Evidence, laid out like a map of everything my life had almost become. I sat down across from them at 9:45 a.m. and folded my hands together to keep them from shaking. Nicole arrived at exactly 10. She walked in with confidence, wearing a navy blazer and carrying a leather folder like she belonged there. Her smile was bright, rehearsed, familiar. Hi, Dad, she said warmly. Ready to get everything organized? Rebecca gestured to the chair across from us. Miss Caldwell, please sit. We have a few questions first. Nicole's smile flickered. Questions? I thought we were here to sign. Rebecca slid a stack of papers across the table. These emails. These phone calls. You initiated them. I was helping my father, Nicole said quickly. He asked me to. That's interesting, Rebecca replied, calm and steady. Because Mr. Caldwell says he never authorized you to contact us. Nicole's jaw tightened. He's been confused lately, she said. I was gathering information in case guardianship became necessary. Romero pushed the folder forward. The guardianship petition. Her handwriting still in the margins. Nicole went pale. Where did you get that? She asked. From my basement, I said. My voice was quiet, steady. Where you hid it. Rebecca placed the earbuds in the center of the table. The room seemed to inhale. You documented his confusion, Rebecca said. Using surveillance equipment hidden in a birthday gift. Nicole stood abruptly, chair scraping against the floor. This is insane, she said, turning to me. Dad, tell them this is a misunderstanding. Sit down, I said. She did. Rebecca slid another document forward. You forged your father's signature, she said. Changed his life insurance beneficiary. $250,000. Nicole's hands trembled. I didn't, Derek said. Derek Nash, Romero said. Your boyfriend. With a prior arrest for financial exploitation. Nicole broke. The words poured out in gasps and tears. Debt. Gambling. A failed business. $30,000 owed. Pressure. Fear. She reached for my hand. Daddy, please, she cried. I was desperate. He manipulated me. I'm still your daughter. I stood up, pulled my hand away, didn't look back. No, I said. My daughter died the day she decided I was worth more gone than alive. I walked out. Behind me, I heard Romero's voice, formal and final. Nicole Caldwell, you are under arrest. I stepped into February sunlight that felt colder than the room I'd left behind. 2 hours later, Romero called. Derek had tried to flee. Fake passport. Charlotte Douglas Airport. Caught boarding a flight to Mexico City. Both of them in custody. Justice arrived quickly. Healing did not. 3 months later, May bloomed in Charlotte. Dogwoods flowered. Windows opened. Life moved forward without asking permission. Nicole received probation, restitution, community service, fraud and forgery convictions. Derek received 5 years in federal prison. Nicole's lawyer asked me to write a letter to the judge. I refused. I changed everything after that. Accounts, passwords, beneficiaries. I removed Nicole's name from my life like you remove a tumor. Carefully, completely, painfully. One afternoon, Curtis came by. We sat on the porch with iced tea. You okay? He asked. Getting there, I said. That took guts. It felt like losing. That evening, I stood in the living room looking at a photo on the mantel. Nicole at 7, sitting on my shoulders, smiling without fear. Best dad ever, written in crayon on the frame. People ask if I miss her. I miss who she was, or who I thought she was. I don't use wireless earbuds anymore. The wired kind work fine. They tangle. They pull. They remind you where the connection ends. At 63, I learned this. Sometimes protecting yourself means losing what you wanted to protect most. I turned 64 this year. Nobody remembered. And for the first time, I was grateful.